There should be subjective approach through objective adjustment. I must never ignore or neglect the present tense. That is, I must always remember where I am and what I am to do just at present. But what is the present? We know that there are three tenses: past, present, and future. What is the present tense? What is the future tense? Actually, there is no such thing as the present tense. When I say something, you do not then hear it. You hear it after a small gap. What is the gap? The time taken by the air to carry the sound to your ear. And when you hear, it is past for me. So when I say it, just when I am saying it, it is future for you because you hear it after a short gap. And when you hear it, it is past for me. Then what is necessary? You see, even a very sensitive organ takes some time to adjust or to digest very long and very short waves, that is, inferences. So when we find a little difference between past and future, we say it is present. Here, between my saying and your hearing, there is a very little gap, and human organs fail to differentiate that gap from saying the actual hearing. We say it is present tense, actually, there is no present tense. But Lord Shiva said, you should live in present tense. The actual meaning of this sentence is you should always be mentally present in the present tense. That is, you should never ignore or neglect the present tense. What is the import? Human existence is physical. Human existence is psychic. Human existence is spiritual. Amongst these three, the physical one is very crude, the psychic one is less crude. You may say more subtle, and the spiritual is the subtlest. So, this existence of the present tense is more prominent in the physical stratum than in the psychic, and more prominent in the psychic than in the spiritual. Actually, in the spiritual, there is no difference among present, past, and future. And that is why one who has established oneself in the aspect of spirituality finds no difference among past, present, and future, and becomes Sarvagya, omniscient. One sees everything, knows everything. But on the psychic level, there are differences, and on the physical level, the differences are still more prominent. Here, Lord Shiva says that in the sphere of pure physicality, you should pay due respect to the physical world. I say it is objective adjustment, but whatever you are doing or whatever you will be doing in the physical sphere, you should have proper adjustment. You should maintain proper equilibrium. This adjustment or equilibrium should be with your psychic stratum. In the psychic stratum, the existence is less crude and more subtle, and because it is more subtle, the time gap is less prominent. Physically, it will make much time because one's psychic structure, one's psychic body is more subtle than one's physical body, and that is why the time gap is less prominent. And our spiritual movement, our spiritual progress starts from the psychic world, the psychic level, starting from the psychic arena and culminating in the supreme spiritual point. So here the time gap is very unimportant. Movement is toward the supreme entity, toward the spiritual goal, where there is no importance of the temporal factor and no importance of the tempus. A person must move from the psychic towards the supreme entity. where there is no importance of time, but in one's physical structure, one is to do so many worldly deeds, so many worldly duties. One has duty concerning food, duties concerning shelter, duties concerning medical needs, duties concerning education, and so many things. And in all these duties, all these activities, in the crude physical stratum, there is a value of space and person and so on. If a person wants proper advancement, if a person wants proper utilization of all his or her mind, there must be a proper adjustment, a proper equilibrium between one's physical movement and physical activities and one's psycho-spiritual movement, psycho-spiritual advancement, and psycho-spiritual progress. And that's why I said in human life, there should be what? Subjective approach through objective adjustment. If only the subjective approach is there and there is no objective adjustment, their equilibrium will be lost. The entire human society will become degraded and destroyed. And if there is only physical activities and no spiritual advancement, human existence will be rendered to the status of brute or plant, which is not at all desirable. So, a spiritual aspirant must always remember the subjective approach through objective adjustment. There is no alternative. श्री श्री आनंदमूर्ति जी, परमपिता बाबा की जय।